National Officer, National Education Union, Louise Regan, thanks for joining us today.
No problem. It's very good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So, over the past months, Turkey's attack against the HDP have continued to escalate. Only recently, on the 26th of April, the trial of 108 HDP members, including the former co-chairs of party, has just begun. What do you think these attacks and this trial in particular indicate about the state of democracy and the rule of law in Turkey?
I mean, I think certainly from a trade unionist point of view, we've been aware for some time now that the situation in Turkey continues to deteriorate in terms of democracy, and that really, the Erdogan is there to be a dictator, really, and to shut down any voices that show any form of dissent. And I think this just, further highlights that the HDP MPs have spoken out against the attacks that have happened on workers, on trade unionists, and therefore have, they are to be silenced too. And I think that situation is shown not only through the work that I do as a trade unionist, my discussions with Egetim Sen, the education union out there, and I've seen the dreadful attacks on their right to speak out and their ability to challenge what the regime is doing. But it's also seen through other international bodies, through the ITUC, the Global Index, indicates quite clearly that workers, it's one of the top 10 worst countries in the world for workers in terms of their rights, in terms of their ability to speak out or to raise concerns and issues. Also more recently, I had some link up with the students that were protesting around the imposition of a rector, a vice chancellor at their university. And again, it just shows this constant control by the state over anyone or any organisation that wants to have a different view or take a different course of action or challenge what is being said.
Why, in your view, have the government of the Western countries, including the UK, failed to take action against the invasion and human rights violations committed by the Turkish government?
I mean, this is a really interesting question. And why haven't they taken action, given that there is plenty of evidence out there to support the fact that these human rights violations are happening? And even when there was a minimal amount of concern raised and some limitations to arms sales a couple of years ago, that was very limited. And I think our government, in lots of ways, it's interesting because, we are seeing attacks here, nothing like the scale of what is happening in Turkey, but certainly attacks on our rights and attempts to shut down our ability to speak out. And, you do wonder if our government sort of sees these allies and sees what they are doing and wants to work in similar ways. But obviously having the trade agreements that we have with Turkey is very good financially for our government. They don't want to end those trade deals or to take sanctions against someone who provides that amount of income in terms of those sales and those trade agreements. So I think there's a whole host of reasons, those being a few, but equally, I think that we are, as a government, our government is very lax at taking action against any regime, any country where there are human rights abuses, despite us knowing about them.
What do you think people in Western countries can do to pressure the Turkish government and support the people of the region who are under attack, and in particular the trade union and women movement?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a really important issue. I mean, I think one of the biggest issues is that people are really not aware of how bad the situation is. So I know I have spoken on platforms about the situation in Turkey. And as I said, we know it's one of the top 10 worst countries for workers, but lots of people are just not aware of that. And I think that situation continues to deteriorate. Being a trade unionist in Turkey is a very dangerous thing to be. And, you know, we know that lots of people are imprisoned. I think as a trade union movement broadly, we have to be speaking out regularly, raising awareness, standing in solidarity with our sisters and brothers in Turkey, and challenging the oppression that is happening to them, and making sure our members are aware of it. You know, we are trade unionists here in the UK, but we're internationalists, and we have to link up internationally where people are in struggle. I think there's a particular issue at the moment, obviously, with Turkey's withdrawal from the Istanbul Declaration. And you know, I think women's movements here have to stand in solidarity with our sisters there. We know that there have been increasing attacks on women and women's rights. We know violence against women is increasing, and we know that that's happening in the education system as well. There are no statutes within Turkey that will protect women, and withdrawing from that Istanbul Convention puts them at significant risk, and we have to make sure that people are aware of that. I know my union, the National Education Union, has written to President Erdogan raising massive concerns about this, alongside our sister union Egitim Sen, but we need other unions to do that. We need individuals to do that. We need women's rights movements to do that, and we all need to stand, you know, together and push back against the attacks that are happening there.
Just another quick question for you, if you would like to answer, we would be happy. You know, in UK there is a campaign still goes on by the biggest trade unions called the Time Has Come campaign, which is dedicated to Kurdish leader Mr. Abdullah Ocalan, who is under the isolation of Turkish state. Yeah, what is your solidarity message with Abdullah Ocalan as a trade unionist from UK, as well as why do you think Turkish state is trying to do by isolating Mr. Abdullah Ocalan? Very briefly.
Yes, I mean, obviously we, our union is signed up to that campaign, and we sent a message of solidarity last year during the day of action, and we'll continue to work with them and to push for freedom. You know, obviously he is very outspoken and did a huge amount of work speaking out for workers' rights and women's rights, and it's quite clear the Turkish government's answer to dealing with anyone who is for human rights and for equality is to silence them. Obviously that's, you know, done to an extreme measure here with the length of time that he has been imprisoned. And we obviously stand with the campaign, but also stand with him in solidarity and call for his release.
National officer from National Education Union, Louise Regan, thanks for joining us. Thank you for your valuable comments today.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me. Good to be here.
Thank you.